How can we effectively utilize HubSpot lifecycle stages? HubSpot's lifecycle stages are critical to building effective marketing funnels, target audiences, and having a shared understanding of our contact database with the sales team. In this video, I'll explain how to set up HubSpot's lifecycle stages effectively and describe each one in detail. I'll also show you a new lifecycle stage that you need to add to your HubSpot database. My name is Jay Shear, and after 20 plus years in marketing, I became a fractional CMO for small to mid-sized businesses and startups. HubSpot happens to be my preferred marketing automation platform. So let's talk about how to get it set up correctly. Okay, so let's start with the basic question: what are lifecycle stages? Well, lifecycle stages are a field in HubSpot that we get a chance to set. What are they supposed to tell us? Well, they're supposed to tell us how to treat the contacts in the database. Different lifecycle stages means that we'll treat those contacts slightly differently and know where they're at in their buying process. And that's where we really need to start as marketers before we even start to touch HubSpot's lifecycle stages. We need to figure out something before that. We need to figure out what our customers' buying process looks like. Now, the model that I use here is I actually create a funnel with my customer's buying process. And it just happens to be a generic one that we'll go through now that kind of gets at where people are at in their buying process. We want to match what we're doing with our marketing campaigns with where our contacts are at in their buying process. At the end of the day, our customers are going through a buying process. Our product or service is one of the options that they have amongst a wealth of other options, most likely. And so therefore, we want to provide them with information that helps them make a better buying decision and hopefully leads them to talk to us because they trust us. We've been giving them information throughout their buying process that has been helpful, and they want to talk to us first, and we're their preferred partner when it comes to buying this product or service. A lot of contacts in our database have no perceived current or future need for our product or service. They're just not thinking about us right now. That's okay. That's part of where our marketing needs to support them, is in branding ourselves so that they know that we offer a product or service that could meet a future need of theirs. Then those customers are probably starting to think about future needs. And this is where we can help them out too, because we can provide them with information about how the marketplace is changing and why they might need to think about a product or service like ours in the future. So they go from having no perceived current or future need to starting to think about the future needs that they may have. Now, the next slot down in this customer buying process, again, this is pretty loosely defined, but the next step down is they're actively looking for potential solutions. Now, this doesn't mean that they're actually looking at products right away. Some will look at products right away. Some will just start to try and understand the marketplace a little bit better. But this is where we want to make sure that we are providing them with valuable information about how our products help meet specific needs. Because if they're actively starting to think about it and looking at potential solutions to their future problems or their current problems, we want to make sure that they would come back to us and look at our product or service as a solution. They go from there to then being more interested in specific solutions. So you can imagine at first they're just doing a lot of research, trying to understand what's out there, what kind of options are at their disposal, where they seem to find more of a product market fit with what their needs are. But eventually, they start to become interested in specific solutions. They start to think, okay, these apply to my situation more so than these other products or services from the competitors. And they'll start to narrow their options down to more specific solutions. After that, they'll probably start to reach out and gain more information from those businesses once they've narrowed down the types of businesses that they want to be dealing with because their product or service fits their needs better. In that case, they want to start conversations with sales teams, which is an important part of the buying process. And then after that, they're in a period where they're negotiating. And usually they're not negotiating with very many other providers. They've narrowed down their list of providers, people that they might purchase a product or service from, to a very limited set. And they may be negotiating with those folks to try and get a better deal or to make sure that the product or service is the right fit for them. That's a very broad look at what a customer's buying process looks like. Your job as a marketer is to understand your customer's buying process in such a way that you can describe the different areas, the different stages that they go through when they're making their purchase decision, so that you can come alongside them with marketing that helps them make a better business decision. That's where life cycle stages come into play. So now we know the customer's buying process looks like this. Therefore, we have to come alongside them with marketing that fits each one of the stages that they're in. And that's where we use HubSpot Lifecycle stages. Now, here's the real secret. HubSpot comes with a default for lifecycle stages that most companies will think, this is great. This is exactly the lifecycle stages that I think I need. But HubSpot is usually missing one critical lifecycle stage that I believe you should add. Let's take a look at the stages the customer goes through, and then let's look at the stages that we should probably account for that HubSpot may or may not have already pre-assigned. Okay, so here's a traditional marketing funnel. We have the top of the funnel, we have the mid funnel, and then we have the late funnel. And then of course we have customers after that where we're trying to either retain, refer, or cross-sell to those folks. Let's start at the top of the funnel. At the top of the funnel are what we would call unaware contacts. These are people who are out in the marketplace. They are just people who do not know that our business exists, and therefore we have to figure out how to get in contact with them. A lot of the strategy around these contacts is going to be around advertising, because we don't know that they exist and we're trying to find them through some means. The critical thing that we understand here is these unaware contacts, or contacts that we're unaware of, they don't need to be in our database. We'll do some marketing to them and they'll get into our database later. Or maybe we'll do some research to find new contacts that fit our target market and then put them in our database. But we don't need to worry about them. Obviously, there's no reason for us to assign a lifecycle stage to them, because we literally do not know who they are. So don't worry about having any sort of unaware contacts or contacts who are unaware of us or that we're unaware of in HubSpot, because that doesn't make any sense. But HubSpot does not have a field for prospects. Now let's talk about why HubSpot does not have a field for prospects. And let's talk about who prospects are as well. Prospects are contacts that have not responded to any of our marketing yet to let us know that they are interested in hearing more from us. So why does HubSpot not have a label for prospects in the lifecycle stages? Well, HubSpot's database is primarily a marketing automation tool. Sales can use it as well, and it can use it effectively. However, it is primarily a marketing automation piece of software. Because of that, if the people who are in our database have not agreed to receive information from us, then we should not be targeting them with certain types of marketing, specifically marketing automation email coming out of HubSpot. HubSpot wants to make sure that the contacts in our database have agreed to receive marketing from us. But we still need these folks in our database for other reasons, because we are not going to use email and spam these people. We're going to use other types of marketing tactics. There's another key reason that we need to have a prospect lifecycle stage in our database. And that is our sales team can do different activities to those folks in order to try and sell to them. It's called prospecting. Prospecting means the sales team is going to go out and do outbound activities to try and get different contacts at different places to respond, and therefore we can put them somewhere in the funnel. So sales can do that. We can also do other things with prospects. For example, we can send prospects direct mail pieces, right? We can also do a cold email play to prospects, but we don't want to do that within HubSpot. We would want to do that within a cold email database. So we might have some prospects that exist in HubSpot and then prospects that exist in a cold email database as well. But it's very helpful for us to go out and research all of the different contacts that may exist in our target market and put those in HubSpot. We just want to be careful that when we put those in HubSpot, we're not saying that they've agreed to receive marketing communication to us, because they haven't. So they're prospects, they're labeled as prospects, and we're not going to include them in email nurture campaigns or email blasts, because that would be breaking spam laws, right? So we want to know they exist. We want to separate them from what we're doing with our automation software, automation tools, but we also want to make sure that sales knows about them. So if sales wants to reach out via cold calling or any other outbound kind of activities, that they can do that. So we have unaware contacts. We don't know who they are. They don't appear in our database. But we have prospects where we might want to bring certain folks into our database, even if we're not going to do marketing automation campaigns to them. Therefore, we need to add a lifecycle stage for prospects. Keep in mind, these are usually matching up with the customer's buying process where they say we're starting to think about future needs, and we want to know who those folks may be. That's the top of the funnel. Now, in the mid funnel, we're going to have leads and marketing qualified leads. Now, leads is an interesting status because leads do not stay in a lead status for very long, or at least they shouldn't stay in a lead status for very long. Now, some teams will want to use subscriber as a lifecycle stage in HubSpot as well, and that is totally fine. A subscriber is someone who is not yet a lead, but who has subscribed to receive communication from us. Personally, I think most of the time someone has subscribed, that's actually qualifying them to be a marketing qualified lead. So I don't use the subscriber lifecycle stage all that much, but on occasion I will use it. What is a lead? A lead is when a prospect or an unaware contact, or a contact we're unaware of, responds to some of our marketing and expresses interest in our product, service, or offer. Okay, so this looks like they might sign up for a webinar. Then say, I'm interested in learning more about your software, or I'm interested in learning more about your product or service, or I signed up for an offer for a discount. Any of these kinds of activities where someone is expressing interest in our product, service, or offer, or anything that we have that we may be putting out into the marketplace. Anytime that happens, that contact becomes a lead. It goes into a lead status. So for example, if we were sending a direct marketing campaign to prospects, and one of those prospects hit our website and filled out the form and said, I'm really interested in this upcoming webinar that you have, then we would say that prospect is now changing from a lifecycle stage of a prospect to a lead. They've expressed interest in what we're doing from a business standpoint. Now, why should contacts not stay in a lead status for very long, in a lead lifecycle stage for very long? Because there's really only a couple different things that can happen with leads. The first thing that can happen with leads is that they are actually not qualified to be a lead. So let's just say that part of our direct mail campaign went to a contact that we didn't realize was not really in our target audience, right? We primarily market to mid-sized businesses, and somebody that's actually in a small business got our mail piece by mistake because our data was bad or something along those lines, but they're still interested in our product or service or some other offer that we're doing. We should have somebody go into that lead, look at that lead, and say, this lead is either qualified or disqualified. If a lead is disqualified, we probably want to move them out of our database, or we want to put them create a subfield of some kind that says they're actually disqualified. So they were a lead, but we disqualified them. We don't want to market to them anymore. Now, the other option is that they respond to the direct mail piece. We see that they're a lead because they're interested in attending the webinar that we're doing or whatever, and they are very qualified. They fit right into our target market. Well, at that point, we're going to change their lead status from lead to marketing qualified lead, or MQL. Okay, so what does MQL mean? MQL just means that we have done our due diligence to see, have they expressed interest in what we're doing? Yes. Do they fit in our target market? Yes. They're qualified to receive marketing from us. Marketing qualified leads are some of the most important leads that we can have in HubSpot, because now they've expressed interest in what we're doing. Now we can nurture those leads until they're ready to talk to a salesperson. This is really important because we're talking to them with marketing campaigns when they've expressed interest in our product or service, and they're still searching in their buying process for the kinds of products and services that may meet their business needs. So marketing qualified leads are critical, and we need to pay special attention to making sure that marketing qualified leads are things that we're constantly bringing into our database and constantly implementing campaigns for them. We want to do a lot of lead nurture campaigns. You've attended our webinar. Now the next step is to have a conversation with our sales team. Those are the kinds of things we want to do with marketing qualified leads. Now, I should note here that contacts can actually skip lifecycle stages. So for example, we might have a lead come in. The lead is qualified. It They expressed interest in something that we're doing. And instead of being a marketing qualified lead, so a marketing qualified lead probably attended a webinar or asked for to download a white paper or subscribed to our email or whatever. But sometimes a lead comes in and goes straight to booking a meeting. And oftentimes that meeting is a request from the lead to talk to one of our salespeople. That's not a bad thing. As long as they're qualified to talk to our salespeople, we want them to do so. So sometimes leads can skip over marketing qualified lead and go straight into sales qualified lead. So what does it mean to be a sales qualified lead? A sales qualified lead needs to be defined not only by the marketing team, but also by the sales team. Okay, so sales qualified leads are leads that sales should be following up with. And so we need to get their buy-in about what kind of leads do you want to follow up with. A lot of times we could base that on a lead score. If we're scoring leads, we can say these leads that are above 100 in a score or whatever criteria you're using, the sales team will reach out to them and we'll say that they went direct from marketing qualified lead to sales qualified lead. Or now I like to make sure that I am on the same page with sales. For example, if a contact attends a webinar, to me, webinars are a great time for sales to follow up. So let's say that we do a direct mail campaign to prospects. Those prospects respond and they become leads. They express interest in our webinar. We look through the leads. We go, these are all really great leads. They all fit our target market. Now we would classify them as a marketing qualified lead. But for all those leads who attend the webinar, I would personally like to have an agreement with my sales team that everybody who attends a webinar that fits our target market should get a follow-up call from either somebody on our product staff or preferably somebody in our sales staff just to see where those folks fit and where they're at in their buying process. So we need to make sure that sales is on the same page with doing that, because we're not going to just start assigning things to sales if they've said, we do not agree that that's a good idea. Now, we could also leave those contacts in a marketing qualified lead lifecycle stage and just ask sales to follow up. But we could also, change their lifecycle stage to sales and have sales follow up with them. The key here is that we know that it is time, based on the customer's buying process, that a salesperson needs to start getting involved with speaking to those contacts. That's what a sales qualified lead is. We need sales to agree that that's what we have an agreement on the definition of a sales qualified lead and when they will want to start talking to sales qualified leads, and then we'll be good to go. So now we've covered prospects, we've covered leads, we've covered marketing qualified leads, we've covered sales qualified leads. Now it's time to look at opportunities. Now, opportunities are not something that marketing is generally going to assign to a lead. In fact, usually a sales qualified lead, in my definition of the term, means that we need to have sales reach out to them, and sales can figure out where they're at in their buying process. And sometimes sales will say, ooh, they're earlier on in their buying process than we thought, so I'm going to change it back to a marketing qualified lead. And then we'll keep nurturing that contact until they're ready to talk to a salesperson again. Sometimes, though, sales will have a follow-up conversation and sales will say, wow, I had a really great conversation, and now I want to change the life cycle stage of this contact to an opportunity. What does that mean? It means that they believe that there's an opportunity to submit a proposal to that contact. It means that they have a high degree of confidence that there may be a deal associated with that contact, and they're going to consider this an opportunity for business. And usually sales defines that status, not marketing. But it's helpful to know about it because we want to know if sales has changed the lifecycle stage of a contact from sales qualified lead to opportunity. We want to come alongside the sales team with calculators, cost benefit analyses, case studies that can help sales transform that opportunity into a customer. Let's recap the basics just really quick before we close this out. All of our life cycle stages should be based off our customers' buying process. Once we know our customer's buying process, we can start to say, these are the life cycle stages that we want to associate with that buying process. Generally speaking, the life cycle stages that we should have as a part of our options are prospects, leads, marketing qualified leads, sales qualified leads, and opportunities. Obviously, we probably want to add customers in there as well. Doing so lets us target each one of those lifecycle stages with specific campaigns that will hopefully help people make a better buying decision and therefore come to us when they want to buy a new product or service that we offer. So there you go. There's a complete breakdown of HubSpot lifecycle stages, why you should be using them, and the actual terms you should be using to differentiate contacts from each other. Hopefully you have a better understanding of the power of HubSpot's lifecycle stages and why we need to use them. In my opinion, our campaigns in HubSpot should be built off lifecycle stages because that means we're aligning our marketing with where our customers are at in their buying cycle. If you're looking for a fractional CMO or would like coaching on how to become a fractional CMO, connect with me on LinkedIn and shoot me a message. The link is in the description down below. That's it from your fractional CMO. Thanks for watching.